Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined as always by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett. How you holding up, Maddie, with that? Well, at least the Cowboys didn't win. At least we took the win from the Cowboys.
At least we haven't lost in Jerry World yet. At least there's that.
Oh my goodness, that would be horrible. That would have just like the idea of that. Oh, anywho, how's it going? How'd you enjoy that game?
Yeah, so gosh, a lot of thoughts about that game, Don. We'll get into this more when we get into the superlatives, but it's the thing I've been thinking about all week is special teams. But if we sidestep that for the moment, seeing the offense on fire, seeing Josh Jacobs going, seeing Jordan Love play out of his mind, and even with not like our preferred starters on the O-line, was like the super fun thing about the game. A lot of people using the phrase like Jordan Love put the team on his back, and I think it's fair to say, and that was super fun. Seeing the defense like not do what we hoped they would do was kind of unsettling, and it felt like the Cowboys know Micah really well, and he still had a really good night. It didn't look like it to the eye test, but when you look at his stats in terms of like pressures, and he had the only sack of anybody in the defense at a really, really important time. He actually had a surprisingly good game, but it felt like the Mike Parsons effect of like freeing up everybody else to go be banshees, like wasn't seeing it, and I know that partially that was because the Cowboys offense is actually really good, kind of like the Browns defense is really good. So it was like a bad matchup. But I forget who said this earlier this week, what podcast it was, but it was brilliant. They said, Tom Grassi, what up, Grassi Posse?
Hi, Grassi Posse.
My guy. Thanks, Tom. You're the man. So
we're podcasting, and I have to interrupt. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. So Tom Grassi is rating our channel right now, and I just put him on pause to do this, and then I'm going back to the Grassi Posse because I cannot listen to national broadcasts anymore. I just can't take them. And when we have Tom Grassi, why do we need to listen to Al Michaels and the like?
Well, seriously.
Hi, everyone.
Let's tell the Grassi Posse what our podcast is then, Don. People, welcome in. This is Hey, We Like Your Pod. We're a weekly show that talks about some of the best content, usually around the Packers, thus friends with Tom, of course, that we have read or watched throughout the week. Tom comes up sometimes, but so we talk about like podcasts and articles and videos that we really enjoyed from the week, because as Packers fans, we have this, ridiculous, wealth of riches, this what's the word, embarrassment of riches of all of the people making content about the Packers. So our job every week is to help people sort through some of the stuff out there, provide some suggestions for some of the best stuff we saw, and anytime anybody here wants to stop by, we are really, really happy to have you. And thank you again, Tom. You are the best.
You and the posse is the best. And if you posse people know football and you want to be a guest on our show, just hit us up in the direct messages or whatever on YouTube. Just tag me. But and we do this during halftime on Thursday Night Football, so it's kind of our little ritual. So it's nice to see you all. We could definitely use a boost. It was a quiet night. There was no one in the chat. There was no one in the chat tonight. Usually we have a couple people. Yeah. It's so good to see you all. Okay, so back to the show, because we are always edit out a little for the podcast. But so you were talking about, I just totally lost what you were talking about.
I was talking about sorry. The offense was really fun. The defense was kind of confusing that it wasn't really happening. Didn't see the other people kind of, reeling in the Micah Parsons effect, which is kind of strange and kind of unsettling. But, I know. So I can't remember who said it earlier this week. I want to say it was somebody on Lombardi's Bar, but I'm not positive about that. That for the Packers to become a great team, they have to become matchup proof. And the last 2 weeks, they're clearly not matchup proof at all.
Yeah.
Little things got in the way that made them not, be as dominant as they looked in the first 2 weeks. So like, how do they overcome that? How do they become matchup proof? I don't know. I mean, I think part of it is like get the O-line healthy. That's been a huge problem. Figure out ways to adjust more quickly, for if the defense isn't quite getting home, like, Halfley make some quicker adjustments. I feel like this was Halfley's worst game in a while, actually.
Yeah, Halfley didn't have the best game.
It's kind of surprising. But but that said, I mean, I know that like we've seen Halfley can call an amazing game. He's a freaking genius. So I'm not worried about that. The O-line, if they get healthy, that'll be great. And there's like the weird decisions, like the end of both halves were kind of like, well, what's going on here? And I don't know what your take is on that, Don. I want to know what your take is on it. But for me, it was like, I think Matt LaFleur should have given the reins to Jordan in the last 2 minutes of each of the halves. Be like, all right, you know what? 2-minute offense. You know how this works. We practiced it a million times.
Yeah.
Go. You got the calls.
Let's go.
Take it.
Right.
Is Jordan Love ready to do that? I don't know for sure, but I think there's a good chance he is.
He has to be.
So
yeah.
I think it's like if we had a healthy O-line, if we let Jordan, run the 2 minute, and if we're just better at like making adjustments on the fly. Oh god, and if we shoot the special teams into the sun, I didn't even say that. We'll get more to that later. Then I still think we have a ridiculously high ceiling and potential. So that's my thoughts. Dawn, what did you think about the game? Where are you at with it?
Well, okay. So I have become much more aware of what September football is, and it's basically like the preseason, according to a lot of people.
Yeah.
The teams don't get enough practice reps because of the union and keeping them, healthy and all that. Jordan won't know how to do the 2-minute defense unless he is given the reins. He has to be given the reins. That's how he learns. That's how you learn. Especially in light of there aren't enough practices either. So you're going to learn during the game. And I have a lot of confidence in Jordan Love. And I think Matt does too. My question is, there was some chit chat a couple of years ago about Jordan Love being a little too quiet and that he needs to rev up the team more. And I'm thinking maybe they were saying things like this, like he needs to yell at them, get your asses moving. We only have, 39 seconds or whatever. Right. So I don't know if that was that, but now he knows, and now the world knows, and now the other teams know. I did not love that Matt LaFleur seemed to be in some kind of a state of shock, or his own description. I mean, I liked that he described it, but then I'm like, that's not how this should work. That sounds like how you are when you're in a car accident or something really tragic. You are the coach of the Green Bay Packers. You can't sit there in shock. You had to have prepared for this. I mean, you can be shocked by a result or something like that, but to just see it happening in slow motion the way he described, it was like, what is happening with Matt LaFleur that happened? So was he saying, I gave the reins to Jordan Love and then I was just shocked that it didn't work, like they just didn't do it? Or, because he's not going to say that necessarily. But and then good point. The first loss, which we really were not expected to lose by, any accounts, Las Vegas, national, predictions and whatnot, to the Browns, was lost in like the last 3 minutes of the game all of a sudden, even though we were comfortable and we had a lead and all that. And that seemed to be some weird decision making too. Best defense. And then the next week we go to play, I guess, one of the better offenses, which I didn't realize. I don't think a lot of people realize that, because guess what? It's still September. So it's like, that's what happens in September.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's such a good point about September. Sorry to interrupt for a second. I think that is more than anything the best point others had said yet, that it's the first quarter of the season. It's weird. Things aren't fully gelling. I was talking to a friend today who was freaking out about just the whole season being weird so far. I was like, Gretchen, it's the first 4 weeks. Like, nothing is set. Like, it's a small sample size. Teams are figuring things out. Sorry to interrupt, Dawn. Go ahead.
Well, and I forgot, I was just wrapping it up, but so I guess the final thought is, okay, so we came out for a couple of weeks like we should, like we've wanted to for several seasons, and then we play the best defense, and then play the best offense. We do have some key injuries. We do have a bye. Now we come back and we play football. Okay. Do I think as a fan that the season is over, that our hopes for the Super Bowl that everybody was talking about are dashed? No. But if it were to continue like this, well, yeah. If it's going to continue like this, do I expect it to continue like this? No, because just look at the last few seasons. We had a very nice winning season, and we went to the playoffs, so on and so forth. So I don't really think all is lost, but it sure was weird to see that. It was such a contrast, and then such a weirdness with, like you say, the best defense and then the best offense. So now we've seen the Lions take care of the Browns, right? So why didn't we take care of the Browns? I don't know. We don't have an O-line that can. That's one reason we couldn't throw the ball. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, all the teams, I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses or anything either. All the teams have to deal with injuries or contending with injuries. But all I can say is I was thinking the way that the preseason was going with the injuries, that the early bye was not a bad thing. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I was like, I think it's going to be good. And I didn't think it was going to be like this bad. But so I don't think all hope is lost, but that had to be some crazy wake-up call. I mean, if, all of us as fans, I know nothing about football, and I'm like, hurry up. What are you doing? I'm screaming there. If I knew
I was like that too.
Why isn't the quarterback doing that? Why? I mean, I could see, Stafford, he's playing tonight. I could see other quarterbacks yelling, hey, come on, let's go. Out
Even
loud.
I hate to say it, Rodgers. Yeah.
So I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was, and I don't know if I want to know what that was. I want it to change, and I want it to never see anything like that again in my life from the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I think that was a little inexperience on Jordan's part, a little turtling up on LaFleur's part. I think it was like something they'll definitely learn from. Gosh, I hope so. It's one of those things I feel like they're going to learn from it, and it's going to be fine. I guess for that thing.
Well,
I want to quickly highlight Calvin here in the chat. Hey, Calvin says, "What's weird is the amount of injuries that I had it on. What's weird is the amount of injuries across many teams. Hope it stops. It does seem like a lot of really bad injuries. I mean, not to like bring up the worst one, but Tyreek Hill this last game, like whoa,
horrible.
Some really bad ones, and just like a lot of key players out. So I always would be one of my dreams, Don, with my abundant spare time, is to work out a whole entire like analysis of injuries per week to compare the different seasons, to each other to see like, is this actually like an especially bad, injury season compared to other like, week 4s across other seasons? I feel like it is. I think Calvin's onto something there. And all teams, to Scotch Tape's thing saying, but 49ers always have injuries. I mean, that's true of every team. Every team has to deal with injuries for sure. And it always seems like it's worse for your own team,
Yeah, exactly. And Corey says, Jags are just getting all their winning out of the way, so now they can relax for the holiday.
Nice.
Oh, man. No, it's been it's interesting to watch what's going on with all the teams, that's for sure. And everyone has injuries. The 49ers have been beleaguered for a couple of years now, which is ridiculous, but they still find a way to win.
True.
Right.
Yeah. For as much as I was like downplaying, Scotch Tape's point there, it is really true. I feel like they've had especially bad luck with it. It's true.
Yes.
And then for sure. True North here, he says, wait till there are 18 and then 20 games and the injuries will be crazy. Yeah. If they keep pushing for more games in the season, I feel like 17 is too many. I mean, extra weekend of football, woohoo! But we need to put an extra buy in if we're going to add any more.
Oh, it'll have to be more buys. Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
As it is right now, they almost need to right now.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, well, let's take that as our sign to It's time for this week's superlatives. Transition time.
One of these weeks, Dawn. One of these weeks, I'm not going to be tickled by that, and I don't look forward to that week. But it's still with me.
It's all right. It's all right. You can be tickled. Well, Maddie, I have a few superlatives. I think I have 3. Do you have? I think I have 2. I have 2. So why don't you start with your first one?
Yeah, I'll start with one then. I have 3 and a bonus. So let's volley. Here we go. My first one is best guest. Oh man, one of the reasons why I listen to like the national folks, your Robert Mazes, for example, is to hear, not just more about what's happening around the league, which is good to know, but also to get the perspective of non-homers about our team. What are national people with an eye on everything seeing and saying about our Packers. But, when they start getting on to talking about the Packers for a bit, it's exciting. You want to keep hearing more and more about it. So every now and then, we luck out and something happens, like Mina Kimes is a guest on Pack's What She Said, like she was this week. And you get to hear Mina Kimes talk about the Packers for like a half hour or however long the episode was. And it's awesome. I love that so much. And, it's already a great show. Maggie's brilliant. Perry's amazing. So then them, teaming with Mina Kimes, who's like one of my favorite football minds, period.
Fun.
It was so good. I freaking love it. It's the second time she's been on, I think. And it's so good. So if you want to hear some really good analysis about the Packers, hear Mina Kimes' perspective. And she likes the Packers. I mean, not like does. As a fan, but like she likes how the team is run. She likes the construction of the team. She has a lot of faith in them for this season. It's cool to hear her talk about them. I love it.
Very cool. Very good superlative. I like it. So my first superlative, and I just went onto the wrong document. My first superlative is, oh my God. My first superlative is most balanced. This is called Packers Week 4 Winners and Losers, Packers versus Cowboys. And this is from Sam. Sam from Acme Packing Company. And so this is a great article and kind of a great synopsis, but it's balanced, and there's winners, there's some positives, there's some losers, some negatives. By the way, winners, I just love Romeo Doubs, so I was pretty happy to see that was one of the winners. I adore that guy. I just adore the way he plays, and I just love seeing him out there. So that's a great article, very balanced. So if you need a little balance after that rough and tumble weird game where no one won and no one lost, depending on how you look at it, but it was a tie. Check out that article. And Sam's hilarious and smart. So fun. Her writing is so good. Excellent. On point. What do you have next?
My second superlative, best analysis 1A. I got a 1A and a 1B. I'll get 1B after your next superlative. So best analysis 1A. That. Justice Mosqueda really had a moment this week because this is where I want to talk about special teams, Dawn. Because he has really kind of impressed everyone with how much he knows about special teams. It was interesting hearing him talk about it this week because, he was on like a lot of shows. He was on with Aaron Nagler. He's on with Peter Bukowski. He was on with Andy Herman. I mean, he was with Andy Herman every week, during the season. But hearing him talk a little bit more about his story, which we should get him on our show to talk about his story.
We should do
that. Maybe next week.
That's a good idea.
So screw around and get Justin Mosqueda on here next week. Okay, so he was talking about during COVID, he was helping out with special teams at like the local high school, with their team, and Justice has a lot of really awesome contacts out there in the NFL and in college football. So he's able to talk to some people who actually do special teams like for a living to get, ideas and stuff from them. And one of the points they made is like the special teams coaches, like biggest responsibility is to basically talk the head coach into letting the really talented players also spend some time on special teams. So that alone would be enough of an excellent insight to get Justice a shout out on the show. But he not only did that and showed up on a bunch of podcasts to talk about some of the stuff, but he also wrote 2 really excellent articles on the topics. And so the first one, the Packers have to get serious about field goal protection. This is more of a Matt LaFleur issue than Rich Bisaccia issue. That's where he's going into like Matt LaFleur has to like, let some of the better players, be on special teams, which you saw after the PAT was blocked. The next time that people were out there for a kick like that, it was more starters. It was Alton Jenkins out there. It was Tucker Kraft instead of Luke Musgrave, right? So, they did make the adjustment. And after that, it was fine for the rest of the game. There was no real danger of anything being blocked, but that would have happened if they would have had the better players out there in the first place. And that, butterfly effect, blah, blah, blah. But that may have cost us the game. So there's a lot of stuff about that in that first one, but then he also wrote another article. Don't expect the Packers to change returners. Draft and develop is a special teams curse. And so between these two articles, just digging into like what went wrong with the special teams, not just from a process on the field perspective, but also from a like how special teams, is run broadly, how the Packers do or really don't emphasize it, with what limited practice time they have. And in terms of which, players they're putting out there, I feel like I just learned so much this week about special teams from everything that Justice put out there. It was an amazing week of, information for that.
Well, I'm so glad he's going to be joining us here next week so we can take this to the next level.
That's the plan.
Because this is stuff. Right. This is stuff. Okay, so that's interesting segue to my next superlative. And I forgot what it was called because I already clicked off of it, but it is from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. It's from our own Ryan Wood and Tom Silverstein, with now Dominique Yates at the helm, keeping those guys organized. And I hope I'm not wrong. I believe it was Tom Silverstein. It could have been another show for all I know, but I think it was Tom Silverstein who mentioned that back in the day, and I wouldn't know this because I wasn't into football back then, Mike Holmgren, I can't pronounce his name. Thank you. I have a very hard time with his name. So sorry, Mike. Had a special teams problem. And he solved it and went to the Super Bowl and won it. And he took every single assistant coach in the building and assigned them to a special teams type project. And I'm sorry, I'm probably not quoting this exactly right, but he found a solution. There is a solution. Like, you have to do something, though. Are they doing things? We don't know, but it sure doesn't look like it. It sure doesn't look like it. And by the way, Rich Bisaccia should be the one looking for these ideas. Of course, Matt LaFleur, the head coach, should also be. We don't know what they're doing and what they're going to do in the off time, but why is this now even an issue? Because this has like been several years of this problem.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a tie game and a field goal walk-off, right? A 3-point game where special teams would have made the difference. We'd be 4-0 now.
Yes.
And it would have been more of a struggle. It might have been more of a struggle than the first two games where we just basically walked all over our opponents. But when we're met with the best defense in the NFL, and when we're met with, I guess, the best offense, I have a hard time saying that about the Cowboys. It could be true. I don't know. I will never admit it.
You can say one of the best for sure.
Okay, well, I was hearing the best, and I'm like, what? Anyway, but Dak did do very well this week for sure. But when you're met with them, special team, you got to pull out everything you have, and special teams could make the difference. And so why is it that reporters who happened to be around back in the day when Vince Lombardi was coach and stuff are coming with ideas and the coaches aren't? And so I'm very concerned. And as a fan on that one, I will allow myself, I'm pretty much a positive fan, but on that one, I'm a little annoyed, and rightfully so. Packers, do something about your special teams and do it yesterday already. Okay. Yeah. There's no excuses. So maybe, I've been in business. You have to find solutions. You have to find solutions. Be creative.
Yes. maybe you're not as far then as True North Packers fan is when he says Matt LaFleur needs to take Bisaccia for a drive in the country and let him run free. Maybe you're not quite there yet. Yeah, it's part of what I've enjoyed so much about hearing more about the special team stuff this week is it's felt so opaque to me for so long. And the way how it was Tom Silverstein was talking about that on the Green 19 podcast, because Ryan Wood wasn't around during the Holmgren era, So
right. Yes.
Man, he's awesome. Just a side note about Tom Silverstein. And I always forget if it's Silverstein or Silverstein. So, I'm sorry if I'm saying the wrong one here, but suffice to say, his deep well of knowledge and experience from having covered the team for so long and seen it through different eras. His perspective on that podcast and his writing, I think, is so valuable and so instructive for us all as fans. So, excellent shout out, Don, for sure. That's like a really cool solution that Mike Holmgren came up with. A way to address it. Let's attack it full on. Let's get all hands on deck. Let's figure this out instead of whatever's going on right now.
Right. Or even look at other teams over the years. It doesn't have to be within the Packers organization, but in the Packers organization be better because you actually have people who are still alive who can help you. This is a little wrinkle that they did. That's why it worked. That's why we had a change in our performance because some of those things get lost. So come on, man, find a solution. But that was a great, and I believe that was on YouTube. So that was Milwaukee Central. If you need to be following them up, if you're a Packers fan on YouTube, and it was Green 19. It was your Green 19. Yep. Yes.
Available on YouTube and on podcast platforms. I listened to it while I was doing the dishes. You saw it on YouTube. Same stuff, same good stuff.
Yep, that's right. Well, Maddie, let's get your final superlatives and bring her home.
Right on. So this one is Best Analysis 1B. It's an article from Jonathan Jones writing for CBS Sports. It was called Live by the Foot, Die by the Foot. Why the NFL saw a wild week of blocks and what it means for special teams. Special teams coaches find themselves playing whack-a-mole. So this was actually from after week 3, so even before our last game. But this was also super instructive and illuminating about special teams because it talked about why so many blocks? What's going on? This is crazy. Comes down to there is limited time for special teams to do work. It is often an afterthought during practice. And right now, special teams, coaches and the work they're doing is so focused on the dynamic kickoff, rules, which of course are still quite new for us. How to game the system, how to deal with stuff. So, because it's so much more complicated than, line up the guys and block for the kicker. It's much more complicated and much more, I hate to say it, but it's dynamic, much more dynamic than that. So you have limited time. You need to focus on this one thing. Other things are getting left by the side. And, teams are figuring out how to exploit that new sort of rips in the garments that are happening. There's little holes of daylight that are coming through on the lines. So he starts with talking about that, and then talks about how kind of Justice was talking about, a lot of the teams don't put their best players out there necessarily, on the special team. So we're seeing these kinds of issues, but just all of the information that this guy had here. Again, I think his name was Jonathan Jones, right? Yes, Jonathan Jones, all the stuff he put into the article, more sort of that behind the scenes on how special teams works. So just a great week of learning about this stuff because it has been so opaque to me for forever. Literally forever, since watching it as a little kid with my dad,
Right. It is true. This is definitely a learning moment. And by the way, that was my final thought on my initial summary where I was talking. I forgot my thought. My final thought was it's never good when the Packers, who were projected to go to the Super Bowl this year, have become now a teaching moment for the entire league because of the that is not that is not what you want your coach saying.
No, he's it's teaching for the whole league. No, buddy, no.
Well, I got what he was saying, but it's that's bad because of course everybody's looking at it and saying, please don't ever do this or you're gonna lose your contract. We're gonna write this into contracts.
I think he's right that it will be.
Yes.
And it should never come to that.
Well, we don't want our team to be providing those kind of teaching moments, I guess is what I was trying to anyway. All right, what's your final, Maddie?
Yeah, my bonus one, I'll make this fast because I know we're going longer than we were hoping to today. But anyhow, my last one is just a huge shout out to our friend Erin Alice. Her tweets during the game were on point. She mentioned later that her boyfriend was out of town, so she's getting all of her anxiety out through tweeting. Probably also skating. I was more on Twitter during the game, it was hilarious.
Oh no, Matt Jones is down. Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt. Matt Jones is down. Bad.
Oh, no.
Like he looks bad. I didn't see what happened. I just kind of saw. Okay, so sorry. 49ers and Rams are back. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Aaron threw a bunch of funny memes out there. A lot of great, she captured the moment. She's so funny.
Of course, she's so good.
And I love that. Like one of the last things she tweeted after all of that was, and this, like I said, she captured the mood so perfectly throughout. And I think especially this one, after the game was over, she said, "So we're just supposed to go to bed now."
No.
Exactly what I felt at the end. I was like, wait, what? I guess
hopefully y'all had sleeping pills or tranquilizers around. Because
I did. Yes. I had to take some stuff to get myself down for bed for sure.
Even my mother was up and she's like, how am I going to go to sleep now? Throughout the whole, like a lot of times she just like, I'm going to bed. Even I've been like, you can't go to sleep at an overtime, mother. Because it has happened before, or when it's that close. But she stayed up for the whole thing.
Good.
90, almost 90 years old. And boy, yeah, it was wild. I love that. And Iowa Joe said, I didn't go to bed. I got to record with Kawana and listen to go on an amazing rant. Yeah, I wanted to catch that. I just couldn't. I've had a bunch of projects going on this week.
It was a great rant, I will say. Side chat.
Was it good?
Yeah. You'd make sure to go back and check that out.
I want to watch the game again. I want to watch the game now that I know the ending and see at least the second half and see what I can see, because it's so hard when you have all that anxiety, to really, for me, see things. Like it shouldn't be for the coach, okay? But for me, for a fan, yes.
Yeah. You catch a lot watching a game a second time. It's true.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to do that if I can. So, hey, Maddie, any final thoughts before we bring her home? Those are great superlatives.
Hey, you too. Now just, enjoy the relatively stress-free weekend of football, or get out of the house, touch some grass, play with your kids. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Yep. Do other things.
Shall we bring it home?
Let's bring her home, Maddie.
Friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, especially you in the chat. To be fans of you and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.